Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is the Bacon Mushroom Swiss Burger. Now, mushrooms and beef are one of those matches made in heaven. There's just something about the earthy, umami mushroom that pairs so well with the flavor of savory beef. And while those two things alone would be perfectly fine on a burger, we're gonna step it up a notch, add some smoky, salty fattiness from the bacon and some creamy, melted Swiss cheese. It's a pretty irresistible burger. The first thing we're gonna do today is roast off some bacon inside the grill. And we're grilling on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S pellet grill. It's currently running at 450 degrees, set up for direct grilling on the left side and indirect on the right. So we're cooking the bacon on a rack because this is my favorite texture you get out of bacon, is when you cook it on that rack and it doesn't sit in the fat while it cooks. It just gets so like creamy and bite through delicious. Now for the mushroom portion of the recipe, I've got 8 ounces here of shiitake and some oyster mushrooms, combined 8 ounces. We're gonna do about 4 ounces of onion, some garlic, and some thyme to go in this as well. And then we're gonna build a creamy, beefy sauce around it. So first thing I want to do is get everything sliced up. These shiitakes I'll just do in long slices like this. You can break them down further if you like, but we're gonna go kind of sliced on everything here. The cool thing about these oysters is you can just about pull these apart and they give you almost like a meatier, like pulled pork kind of texture if you just shred them up like that. Now for our onion, we're just gonna slice this as well, kind of mimic the same shape that we've got going on with the mushrooms. And then we've got garlic, which we're just gonna crush it, peel it, mince it. So we'll set that garlic aside. And then the last thing we gotta do a little bit of knife work on is our bacon. So yes, there is more bacon involved in this recipe. We're also gonna mince some of this up to go into the mushrooms. So we'll cut this super fine, so you just get really crispy little slices. That way they don't stand out too much, but they'll give some extra texture to the mushrooms. And as that fat renders out while this is cooking down, now you've got bacon fat to cook your mushrooms and onions in. The bacon's been on for about 20 to 25 minutes now, and it's looking really pretty. We got that great browning around the edge, but this middle part right here, this is what I was talking about, just like melts in your mouth, especially the fatty parts. Almost creamy and crunchy at the same time. So we're gonna pull these off. Now here on the other side of the grill, we've got a 12-inch cast iron skillet that's been preheating for the last 5 minutes or so. And we're gonna start by throwing down our bacon, let some of that fat render out, then we'll add in our mushrooms and onions. So the bacon's definitely rendering out a bit, some of that fat's rendering out, I should say. I think at this point we can go ahead and add in our mushrooms and onions. I've also got the thyme in there, just a whole sprig of thyme. It's just gonna hang out whole like that the whole time. That way we can just fish it out later. But for now, we're just gonna hit this with a little bit of seasoning using the Yoder Smoker's beef rub on our burger and on our mushrooms today. Let that salt draw out some of that moisture. Let this cook down, soften up, and start to brown. Let's close the lid back up. So you guys can see how much volume we've lost in the last 10 minutes or so, just stirring this every once in a while. A lot of that moisture is cooked out, and that's what's allowing it to now brown now that that moisture's kind of disappeared. So at this point, we're about ready to put kind of the saucy aspect of this together. So we're gonna start by adding our garlic, which needs to cook just briefly. But we can also add a teaspoon and a half of Worcestershire sauce. And I've got a tablespoon of roasted beef base. This you can just get at your grocery store on the soups and stocks aisle. It's just basically highly concentrated beef, roasted beef flavor. It's gonna really beef up this mushroom. So the aromas coming off of here are incredible right now. All right, so that's about 30 to 60 seconds for the garlic. That's all we need. Now we're gonna get this creamy with some half and half. No need for a thickener here. That half and half's just gonna reduce down and kind of coat all of the mushrooms and onions and add just a really nice creamy mouthfeel. So we'll let the thyme hang out in there for a little while longer while we get everything else prepped for the burgers. Just gonna throw a lid on the mushrooms, take them off the grill, and let them stay warm. Now we've knocked out the bacon and the mushroom, and that leaves the Swiss and the burger. Now we definitely could just put a slice of Swiss cheese on this burger and let it melt, but it'd be a lot more fun if we make a creamy Swiss cheese sauce. So we're gonna start with a half cup of half and half in the skillet, and we wanna bring that up to a simmer. Now we're gonna be using two different cheeses today. The first is a Swiss American cheese. I mean, just because there's no denying that American cheese melts so well. But then we've got an actual Swiss cheese they're gonna use to get a little bit more of that authentic Swiss flavor in there instead of, you know, just your American processed cheese flavor. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Now that American Swiss is all in there, we're gonna add our proper Swiss cheese. Treating it the same way, just adding in a couple of additions, watch it melt before you add the next. And then I like to keep a little extra half and half on hand for this part, so if it gets a little bit too thick, you can thin it out. The American made it creamy, whereas this Swiss is going to make it kind of stretchy, ooey gooey. Just a little bit thick, so I'm gonna thin that out. And then you can just kind of hold this warm with a little extra half and half on hand to keep it at your desired consistency. Now, I almost forgot to do this, but one little flavor boost we can add to this sauce is a little bit of Dijon mustard. Tang up that creaminess a little bit. So all that's left now is the burger itself. And today what we're using are these 1/4 pound burger pucks from Creekstone Farms. It's a brisket blend burger that's roughly 80-20. And I'm just gonna press this out evenly until it's roughly the same size or a little bit larger than my burger bun. Since it is gonna shrink down a bit, you take a look at the bun, that's just a little bit wider. That's just about right. Now at the size where we want them, we can hit these with our seasoning, which today is the Yoder Smoker's beef rub. We're just gonna season one side for now. We'll get the other side when it hits the grill. At the grill now, got a 12-inch skillet in here so we can toast off our buns. We'll just move that to the side. And then over here on the left, we're gonna hit the grates with just a little bit of spray duck fat. Throw our burgers down right over this direct flame. Hit the back side here with a little bit more Yoder beef rub. Start toasting off some buns. Now before the buns hit the skillet, we're gonna mix up a little mayo and horseradish mixture. And get that horseradish bite in with the mayo, and then use the mayo to toast the buns, which I know some people aren't a huge fan of. I don't mind it. It's not the same as butter, but it does a similar thing to it. And by adding the horseradish, we can get that horseradish kind of cooked right into the bun. Oh yeah, burgers are looking good. Cooking with the lid open today, because these go fast. When they're just a 1/4 pound, you got them fairly thin. Just a nice grill mark on them. Not even gonna have to temp them. By the time they get some color on them, they're done on the bottom. Yep, nice grill marks on the bottom. We can pull these off. All right, last of the burgers coming off here. We'll slide this skillet over to give it a little bit more heat and finish toasting off the buns. Well, let's go ahead and build one of these burgers. We're gonna start on that bottom bun with our mushroom mixture. Creamy and savory. Top that with a burger patty. And we've got our creamy Swiss cheese sauce to just melt all over that. And a couple slices of bacon on top. That's it. So this burger has about as much mushrooms on it as it does beef, and the mushrooms actually really help to fill that out. So even though we're only cooking, 1/4 pound patties here, pretty substantial burger with all the mushrooms. Let's slice into this and see how it looks. Oh my goodness. That looks juicy as all get out. All right, let's get a bite. That's pretty epic. Man, big savory flavors. That Swiss cheese sauce is just melting into everything, coats the mouth. You get the beefiness, but right there with it is the mushroom. That great umami flavor out of the mushrooms. Everything's very savory. You got the smoky, salty bacon, just letting you know it's still there. Just so juicy. I mean, that burger's not gonna last long, that's for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out allthingsbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.